Hello everyone, I am back again. And believe it or not, this happens to be the 6-month anniversary of this project. So let me go ahead and give you some background on what I'm doing, what I've been doing, and what I'm going to do. All right, so what happened is this was not my original car project. My original car project, I was working on an Art Deco, converting a C8 Corvette into an Art Deco car, or an Art Deco styled car. So let me show you what that looks like. I made a scale model. So this is eventually what is the body that is going to go on this car. Now if you look over there, there's the fenders. So that's these fenders. The reason I bought those fenders is because it was very difficult to get this spherical shape here when I was doing it myself on some fenders. So I, in frustration, decided to go ahead and order those. Well, the problem was that it was going to take over a month to get those made. And right when I decided to do that, I ordered a set of molds to do a C2 conversion on a C6 Corvette. And they arrived. And I was sitting there with nothing to do, at least car project wise. So I started looking and I put the molds up to the car and said, wow, these might actually fit on this C8. That's how this started, and that was right at 6 months ago. So I dropped the Art Deco project and started on this. So I started making the body panels, started test fitting them. As I went on, it looked like it was going to be closer and closer to working. Now what you have to understand is up until today, this was just an experiment to see if it would work. So I was looking at it because I was planning on using the body anyway and taking it off of the C8, so nothing I've done up until now would prevent me from going back, dropping this project and going back to the Art Deco project. But now we're at the point that it was a proof of concept. Now I've proven that it's going to work. So now the thing is I need to start working on the details. So up until now, everything's just been rough. I've been putting things in place so that you can stand back and go, is this going to be a nice looking car? Of course, that's subjective, it's up to you, but I like the end result, so I'm going to march forward. All right, in conjunction with that is that I had to be able to open the door. First off, the doors were completely different between the C6 and this. If we go over to this passenger side, you'll see that on the C6, the door opening is way back here. All right, on the C8, the door opening's way up there, about a foot difference. So what I had to do, or what I did was, I took it and I took the rear fender and I bonded it to the door, the front section. Then when I mounted it up here, got it placed about where I wanted it, I had to cut an opening because with that in place, I couldn't open the doors. So I had to cut that opening. I guessed at where to cut the opening, and you can see here, I didn't do a great job. It's close, but it's not quite right. All right, once I did that, I had to come over and do the same thing on the passenger side. On the passenger side, I guessed even worse. So you can see here, if you look, that's quite a bit off. See, there's my hand for scale. So what is that, 6 inches, 4 inches, 5, something like that. Okay, so what I did was when I made this quarter panel, when I modified it, I went ahead and added some more material. The reason I did that is because I still have the door right here. So there's the door. I needed part of that door to fill that gap. So what I did was, I got some duct tape. It just happened to be orange. I got it at Dollar Tree for $1.25. All right, so I took this tape and I put it up against here, taped it to here. Then I put the door up to where it was going to go, to where it lined up right here, where it was supposed to. And then I marked the edge of that door. That's this black line with the little dashes. Okay, and I'd already had this taped to it. So that tells me where the door opening is. Then what I did was with this tape here, I opened up the door. And as the door hit here, I cut so that I got an outline of the door where the door aligns with this body panel. Okay, you have to trust me the rest of that. I can only do this one hand. All right, so then what I did was I took this and I put it up against that door. What that allowed me to do was to cut the extension. And this piece now goes in between here and makes it to where this front edge matches the edge of that door. Okay, so the reason I extended this was I knew that I was going to do this, so this gives me something to bond this to. Okay, I stopped here, so I'm going to have to do something to back this up so it has something to bond to. Bonding edge to edge like that, but joining isn't very strong. Okay, so yesterday what I did was I got my multi-tool and went along this line here, cut it down about the thickness of this piece of fiberglass. So if you notice, there's a step right there. So what I'm going to do is put fiberglass on there, bond this right there, and that will make that to where the door opening now matches the door opening of the C8. Okay. The other thing is that I need to fix this bottom piece. See, this is where the C6 was. They have this step in on the C8. Doesn't do a thing for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the door sill out, and I want the side of the car to come straight down. The reason I want to do that is, if you look at the side of a car, the way they curve it in, it makes it look like the car is much higher off the ground than it really is. If you get down there, the car really is, oh, let's say 5 inches, I'm guessing, off of the ground. But if you look from here, it looks like it's what, 7, 8 inches, something like that. If I go straight down from the side, it makes it look like the car's that much lower without sacrificing any ground clearance at all. So my plan is I will sacrifice about 1 inch of ground clearance, but it will look like I lowered the car, oh, about 3 inches or something like that, maybe even 4. Okay, so that's one of the things I'm going to do next. Let's see, all right, I had to change the wheel opening. Those of you that have been following know. Okay, so now this body sticks out. I'm going to put wider wheels and tires, so this tire is going to come out another 2 inches. So I needed room for that. On the factory, it would rub the fenders if I did that. They put flares on there or a wider body. I'm doing a similar thing, but with my own custom body. So the wheel opening goes like this. All right, you notice those vents on this. If I leave those vents, they're going to fall right at the front edge of the door. That's going to be difficult to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right where this edge is. It's not the best place. I wish I could give myself a couple inches here, but I can't because I really need this piece so that it matches the door. So I'm going to cut this on that curve if I can, but it has to be cut right there at that edge. So I'm going to cut it and try to follow the line of that door. That will allow me to take this piece, put it here, and then finish this front fender. I will have to make a piece to connect the C8 inside of the door to the fender, just like they did in the factory. This is unlocked. It is. All right. So you'll see that there's a space there, so I've got to do that same thing with my fender. Okay, what else? Okay, this door is not, it doesn't, all these extra curves and stuff through here, they need to go. They don't match the C2. If you look at the C2 door, it's relatively flat, with the exception of that body crease, but you can see the rest of it is absolutely flat. I don't want those extra curves competing with the C2. So I'm going to put that door skin onto here. One of the concessions I've had to make is the door opening, the button is underneath this piece right here. I wish it wasn't, but it is. I looked at it. I could do a lot of modifications, but it just adds a lot of time and effort to it. So what I'm going to do is, that's why I put this orange tape on here. I'm going to go ahead and make this door come up and meet here and extend out. So this part will stay like it is. The bottom part right there, I will pretty much follow what's going on with the back edge of this door. All right, so the top will stick out more, the bottom will be back here, and that will leave that air gap that so many people were worried about, so that the C8 can get air and breathe. Around to the front. All right, I've been learning as I go. This is the hood that I made. The set came with a hood mold, but I used the word mold very judiciously because all it was basically a hood. And so I made another hood off of that one. For some reason, it decided it wanted to curve upwards. I have no clue why. And then it got wet. So this is where I learned that you cannot let water get on gel coat or on fiberglass because it won't cure correctly. Makes sense because gel coat and fiberglass both generate heat to cure. If you put water on there, the water absorbs all the heat and then it doesn't cure correctly. It did eventually cure, but you can see that the end finish didn't end up like I wanted. Not a big deal. I don't like this hood particularly. They call this the floor mat scoop hood because these basically look like a couple of floor mats. I'm going to actually graft this scoop onto it, and then this peak right here will come out from that hood scoop. So that hood scoop will sit on top of here. It's one of the things that they did with Corvettes. The funny thing is, this is called Stingray, and if you look, the way that the hood curved up, that kind of looks like a Stingray sitting on top of the hood. So anyway, just thought I was amused by that. Okay, let's see what else. All right, those of you then watching, here's where I joined the C8 and the C2 together. The darker orange underneath is the C8. The lighter orange in front is the C2, and the white is also the C2. It just so happens that the two matched pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in right here and make this curve and mold into here. I am going to probably extend this out that couple of inches so that this curve goes all the way across there, and I will paint this black piece orange to match the body color. So the advantage of this is that I can use the piece here that holds this whole front end in place from the factory, just like it did on the C8. So that's less work I have to do. I will paint this area right here black so that it's visually doesn't stick out. People are all worried about the cooling. If you look, it can still get air. And if you look at how this is designed, let's see, you have to look, oh, all right, I had to get under here. From the license plate back, it makes an angle so that it directs all the air from the front end, either to this side to go through this radiator or through that side to go through that radiator. So even though I am blocking where they had the radiators out, they still get air. This area right here is going to be cut away. And then if you look at a C2 Corvette, the whole grill is across here. So there's a black grill. So it'll be open all the way across here. So I am confident it will get sufficient air. If it doesn't, then I will add some scoops, or if I had to, I could cut a hole here and add a scoop there. But the intent is to put bumpers on here, so visually that will kind of interfere, but it can be done. I could literally cut a triangle out of here and replace it with either screen, painted body color, or a black mesh piece. Doesn't matter, but I'm not going to do that unless I absolutely have to. I've ordered headlights, one of the aftermarket, and there was a thing called a Grand Sport Corvette. It was a racing Corvette. They had covered the headlights with plexiglass. So I ordered the plexiglass and the box that goes behind it to mount the headlights. I've ordered LED headlights as well. I think they'll work. If they don't, I'll have to order another set, but that's the intention, was to go to LED headlights. I think that's it. To get this hood to work, I am literally going to split it, cut it straight down the middle, and then force it to be the right curve. The front end is crooked. People complained about that. If you look, the right side's propped up by a piece of wood. Sorry, I didn't bother to cut the piece of wood another inch or whatever to lower it right. So it looks like it's very far off. It's really not. At the very front, it is exactly 1 inch off to the passenger side. I'm sure that somehow in all of this, I can manage to get that inch back. If I have to, I could. Oh, this thing's heavy. All right, anyway, I could cut it straight through here, add another inch. I would cut this out first, cut it in the middle, add that inch, extend this down to where it covers up what I had to add. So really, it's no big deal. The hood, again, the hood doesn't even belong on there, so I can cut the hood in the middle, add an inch, and nobody would know any difference, because a lot of it's going to be covered by that hood scoop back there. All right, that's all I can think of. So I have off from now until the end of the year. So I'm basically going to do a marathon session between now and the end of the year. Oh, the other thing is, I thought I was going to have to widen the C2 a lot. So this front end was made to be a one-piece front end. I purposely did it in separate pieces and then made these tabs so that I could screw it together. The reason why is, if I had to widen it, my plan was just to stick a 1 inch or 2 inch or whatever it took to widen it, piece of wood in here, shape it to make this eyebrow encompass that piece of wood. So worst comes to worst, I could still do that. I could still push that out. I don't really want to, because it also impacts this bottom area right here. So if I can avoid that, I will, but that is still an option. I could also cut a wedge, so it comes to a point down here so it won't disturb anything in front of here, and then as it goes back, it gets wider to where it's 1 inch or 2 inch or whatever, so that it widens at the back so it meets the door correctly. All right, that's all I can think of. Oh, so these eyebrows here on the fenders, if you get back and look, they're called eyebrows. That raised area over the fender, there's one in the back, but it got cut up in between where the hood opening is, the trunk opening and the deck opening. So you can kind of see the eyebrow, but it's not really distinctive. I am going to make it more distinctive, and I was trying to not modify the trunk lid or the rear deck area. Ideally, that's not going to work. It just plain won't work. If you look, the difference in height there is 1 inch. I've got to make up that inch somewhere. I definitely don't want to cut this down 1 inch because it's already too flat. If you look, that it's missing a lot of the body feature right there. And again, my only goal there was to get the two pieces to attach to each other so I could make sure everything else was going to work. One of the other things that we were talking about is the C2 has a squared off corners on the wheel openings. The C8 does not. It's semicircular. So I may or may not, I probably will, put a flat spot on the top there and then make the corners come out a little more before they curve. Again, I haven't decided that. What I will do is I will go ahead and This is a piece that I made. So I'll move this out to where the wheel opening is out farther, but it's even. And then I will decide, what I'll do is I'll use marker or black duct tape or whatever to test, experiment with different wheel openings and decide what looks the best as far as the wheel openings. Speaking of wheel openings, again, the Z06 Corvette is 4 inches wider than the stock C8. This is a stock C8. The Z06 isn't even out yet. So what that means is it's 2 inches wider on each side, which means that this tire is going to stick out 2 more inches. So that's why there's such a gap in between where the fender is and where the tire is. Excuse me. The Z06 tire and wheel is 13.5 inches, so it's 1.5 inches. Again, wider on each side. This is right at 12 inches. So people were worried about that. They didn't like the fact that the wheels were inset so much. Well, that's because these are the wrong wheels and tires. The ones I want to use, I priced them. They're $10,000 for all 4 wheels and tires. Oh, that just fell. So I'm going to hold off until that's the last thing I'm going to do. I can always add wheels and tires later. Plus, I really need to have the body completely nailed down before I order the wheels and tires, because I need the right offset so that the wheels and tires exactly meet the fender where I want them to. The final thing is this back end. The bottom piece here is the C8. So I kept the C8 diffuser, and then the top part, of course, is the C2. Well, if you look, there's a gap there. So I was just going to make a flat piece to tie those two together. Someone had suggested that the body needs to be moved back 1 inch. I'm not sure I like that. I personally think it's actually too long right now. That's my personal opinion. If I did move it back 1 inch, that would actually help here, because this area right here, this corner, would come back and it would fill in some of this gap, and this would mold in a little bit easier. Right. Luckily, I have another C8 that we'll go look at, and I'll show you what it looks like from the stock C8. All right, so here's the area above that diffuser. So it comes straight up from the diffuser here, and then it comes in. You can see that if I use this off of the orange car, that it will take care of filling in that area and where that meets. If you come along here and then it comes up, that area is flat. Again, that's where the license plate is, so that gives me a lot of latitude of what I do there. And the same thing over here. So if you look at it on the side, I can cut that piece off of the orange C8. I saved all the pieces, and I could just go ahead and use the factory piece up to the point where it meets with the C2. So that, the way you look at it now, I could actually use that piece up until about right here. All the way across, I could cut it, and it would come real close to matching the C2. So that's the simplest solution. I may end up doing that. Again, I haven't decided. The other thing is I'm going to use the chrome bumpers. So you can see this extended area is where the bumper mounts. The bumper's a little bit longer. It probably comes up to here. Someone was concerned about the bumper interfering with the tire. You can see that, I mean, I think it was 10 inches here, something like that. So that bumper could come forward another couple of inches, not interfere at all. I did the same thing on the front. I don't have a C2 bumper, but I do have the C1 bumper off of this one. It's not exactly the same, but was kind of close. I put it up here. The concern was that I hadn't left room for a bumper here, and so I thought I might have to do a pocket in here to set the bumper into the body. Luckily, when I put that C2 bumper up there, it's going to fit right there with no modification whatsoever. All right, I think that has everything. So my next plan is to finish this side of the car, the passenger side of the car. Get it to look pretty much exactly like I want it to look. Then I get to duplicate everything that I've done this side to the other side. That's always the not so fun part. Building the first half of the car is as much fun as anything else. But when you are just plain trying to get the other side to match, it's more tedious than fun. But now, like I said, I have off between now and the end of the year. So my goal is to finish this by the end of the year, to a point that I can take it to a body shop and say, you know what, I got it close. This is the wrong paint. Obviously, rattle can wouldn't work for a 6-figure car. You can see my body work. I was not trying to get it all flat and smooth and pretty. It's, you know, got ripples and such. So I will take it to a body shop, say this is the shape I want, make it look pretty. My goal is to hopefully get it down where I do enough work that the end cost from the body shop will be $10,000 to get it painted and up to show quality. So we'll see. I'll take it to them, and if they say, you know, it's higher than that, then I'll have to do some more work and get closer. But I'll work with the body shop to work on it. I think that's all I can think of right now. So ideally, I think I'm going to do 2 videos a day, one in the morning to show you where I am, and then one in the evening to show you what I've accomplished through the day. So that's it for today, or actually that's it for this early one today. I will go ahead and mold in that door and see what I can get done, and then you'll see the progress at the end of the day today. Hope you have a great day, and like and subscribe. And if you want to, hit that little bell on there. That bell lets you know whenever I publish a new video so that you don't have to go and search. There are a lot of YouTubers that I have that bell set, so I get alerts on all of them whenever they publish a new video. I will see you later. Bye.